What's going on, legends? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into Modern Warfare Zombies, and this is going to be a quick guide to the new Act 4 story mission, Ascension. Now, when you first dive into Urzikstan, you're going to want to make sure you suit your character up for success. By this, I mean, if it means completing contracts to get enough essence, you're going to want to get as much perks as possible. Act 3, Legendary if you can. And you're going to want to be, of course, ready to go into the story mission. Usually when it comes to these story missions, they are around a tier 2 threat level, but it is helpful to be more than ready, especially for this one, because there will be a boss fight that I think you're going to want to be prepared for. I also do recommend, even if you are in a squad, to bring a backup self-revive. Come equipped with the healing aura if you're in a squad. If you're solo, use whatever field upgrade you would like. But then whenever you're ready to challenge this new Act 4 story mission, you're going to want to open up your map, look in the F5 grid square. You will see over near one of the triangle locations, the one that's up on the wall, in the dome-like structure over there inside that courtyard will be that new story mission, exfil. Just head over to it, make sure it says Ascension whenever you're ready to go. Now, once you actually enter into the story mission, you're going to see 2 launch pads in front of you. They will be glowing blue. These will be all around this map, and it's going to be one of your main ways to get around. So if you do see any red crystals, be sure to shoot those. They will actually transform into these blue launch pads. You'll be able to use them to go from area to area. Now, when you first get in, you actually have a choice between the right or left. You'll see the glowing beams out there. You're going to head to both of them eventually anyway, so choose whichever direction you would like. They're going to take you over to one of those obelisks, similar to those things you interact with as the contracts, or they unlock the contracts in the Season 3 Dark Aether. You're going to make your way over to your first golden beam, and when you get close enough to it, it'll ask you to search the area for relics. There's going to be 4 items or 4 relics. They're actually the items from the previous season rifts. You're going to go ahead and find them. They should be very easy to spot. They're in close proximity to the obelisk itself. You'll be able to interact with each of them. And then once you interact with each of them, you will then be able to actually interact with the main one, which is then going to ask you to cleanse the relics. Essentially, what you have to do is just wait for the zombies to get close by. You're going to eliminate the zombies. It's going to be basically asking you to kill zombies for Dr. Jansen. So pretty straightforward. It works just like a soul box. Eliminate the zombies throughout the time period. Eventually the bar will fill up. After enough time passes, the bar fills up and the obelisk breaks. Then it will tell you to regroup with Jansen. All you really need to do is just move on. Take the launch pads from area to area, making your way over to that other glowing beam that was in the sky. It's going to be the exact same thing. Another one of these obelisks is going to have you search around in the close proximity for 4 of those relics that you're going to need to capture. Once you capture them, it'll then allow you to interact with that main obelisk, then asking you to cleanse the relics once again. You're then going to repeat the exact same process you did at the other one. The difference this time is at a point within the progress bar, it's actually going to stop and the relics will become possessed. You will need to go relocate 3 of them, again in that close proximity. A little bit more difficult to actually acquire. Once you grab all 3, once again, that progress bar will start continuing. Once that progress bar is complete, that obelisk will once again break, just like the first one, and it will give you an update on your objective. So now it's time to ascend the tower. Now you're actually going to get directed over toward Jansen and Ravenov, and where they're actually standing, there's going to be some train cars kind of moving slowly, and you will notice they're kind of moving slowly in the upward trajectory. You're going to need to jump on one of these train cars and ride it up. In between the areas with the launch pads and these different areas that you can jump onto these train cars that are slowly moving upward, once you transcend through enough of the jump puzzles, you'll make your way through a series of launch pads that sends you into a rift, which takes you over to another location, which is one of the giant boats that you probably recognize from one of the other maps. You'll go through this, make your way to the front of the ship, where there will be another rift. Everybody will have to be here if you're in a squad. And then you'll be able to go through this rift to enter that boss arena. Now it's finally time to fight the entity. When you first spawn into the boss arena, you're going to be on a platform. You're going to need to jump off and parachute all the way toward the objective location, which is going to be a platform where you're going to see Jansen kind of doing some hand maneuver power-up things to some of the old items from one of the previous seasons. Eventually the entity will show up and it'll be time to fight. Now a couple things I want to mention going into this boss fight. It is a 2-phase fight. So be aware of the laser beams. They will come in multiple forms. In the first phase, they're one way. In the second phase, they're a little bit more powerful. And the other thing is going to be the wisps. You should be familiar with these if you fought the red worm. Those are the 2 main things I want you to look out for. But now that the boss fight has started, you're going to notice immediately off the rip, there's going to be glowing spots on the entity. These are going to be the places that you're going to need to target. You're going to want to shoot each of these spots in order to kind of do your first phase of damage and send the entity over to another location. I don't know exactly what happens if you're not able to do damage to each of those spots, but I do know for sure that I only saw one time where she did some sort of AoE attack, and you wanted to make sure you were essentially just not in the red circles. I only saw it one time, so I don't have a lot of experience explaining that specific mechanic. Maybe that's something she does if you're not able to actually hit all of the spots in that little time period that you have to do so. But each of the times that I was able to do this boss fight, we were able to do each and every one of those spots in every location without any issue. So make sure you shoot each of the spots. Obviously, if you're solo, it's going to be a little bit more challenging. Then eventually she will move over to another location, and you're going to repeat this exact same process. You're going to head over to wherever she's at. The sooner you get there, I think the less damage or less at risk you're going to be, and the easier it'll be to actually shoot the targets on her body. But you're going to need to, again, shoot all those different targets. You'll move over to another location. Once you've done another portion of her health, she's going to go from platform to platform a couple of different times until you eventually get through her health bar. But once you finish her off for the first time, the joke's on you. The fight's not finished. You're going to head over to the false rift reward. And of course, I'm telling you it's false. Spoiler alert. But hey, if you're here, you're probably looking for tips. But you're going to head over there, and the boss fight's actually going to start once again. Now, initially off the rip, you're not going to see anything to shoot on the entity itself, so you're just going to want to avoid taking damage until she decides to move to her first location, and that's when the thing is actually going to begin. So whenever she moves over to one of the other platforms, you're going to want to get over to that platform as quickly as possible, and you should see Jansen over in that area kind of doing her power-up ability. So what you need to do at this point is continue eliminating zombies. So you're actually going to be doing the exact same thing you did earlier in the story mission when you were cleansing the relics. You're essentially just going to eliminate enough zombies to fill up the progress bar. When that progress bar is then finally filled up, you will then see the spots pop up on the entity once again, similar to the first phase, and you're going to want to shoot each of these spots as quickly as possible, destroying her, doing a portion of her health bar. Then she's going to move over to another platform, same with Jansen. You're going to have to repeat this exact same process. Essentially expect you're going to do a third of the damage in the first time. You're going to need to do it a second time for that second portion, and then one more time for a third portion and final portion of that health bar. You're going to repeat this exact same process at each of these platform locations. Just eliminate the zombies as Jansen needs until you fill up those progress bars, and then make your way over to the next platform, and then repeat this process. If you're having any troubles with this, or maybe there's too many zombies or something like that, make sure you bring in those Casimirs. But for the most part, just moving from platform to platform fairly quickly whenever she actually moves, I didn't find that there were too many issues having an overwhelming amount of zombies. At this point, based on my recommendations, you did come in with Pack 3 and Legendary and all the perks and stuff, and probably some backup self-revives, so more than likely that's going to be more than enough to get through these waves of zombies and also do enough damage to the entity. I think the only place you might have room to struggle would be if you were doing it solo, but I don't think a lot of you are going to be going that way, especially early on, just because there's going to be so many people looking to do this. Unless you're really just trying to have a challenge, you're probably going to find some people to be able to jump in with. But once you're actually able to make it to all of those platforms, repeating the process, getting through all of the entity's health bar, you will have now completed the boss fight and the story mission. You'll want to make your way over to that reward rift, get your first part, which is Mr. Peaks, because you're going to need that alongside 3 other items, which I have a guide over on the channel on how to unlock that new Dark Aether rift. So you're going to need Mr. Peaks along with 3 other items that you will need to make gold in order to do that. So make sure you guys check that video. I'll leave it in the pinned comment down below. That is going to wrap things up for us here. Thank you guys for all support in today's video, all support in the channel. I look forward to seeing y'all in the next one. Peace.